All right, welcome. Another edition of It's Still Real to Me. And of course, everything Zaslow Show 2.0 brought to us by our title sponsor, Anna Jar and Levine. Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you're involved in any kind of an accident, a hit and run, motorcycle, car accident, boating accident, slip and fall, Anna Jar and Levine, Accident Attorneys, the best around. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. My pal is Joey Levin. A little bit of a different background for him because the holiday weekend, you were up there in New Jersey, right? New Jersey right now?
I am. And it's breaking news. It's my birthday.
Oh, I don't know that's breaking news, but, I mean, it's certainly news. It's not breaking. It's been your birthday all day.
Well, it's breaking to you because I didn't bring it up until right now. So
yes, all right. Happy birthday. All right.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Joey. Everybody wish Joey a happy birthday. Make sure that however you're watching, especially if it's on the YouTube feed, that you always have your notifications on. All right. So if you're watching us on Twitter, I don't think you could add comments on Twitter. But if you're watching on Twitter, you want to switch over to the YouTube feed. I don't know. However you're watching us. All right. We like it when you guys participate with us. So if you want to send questions, you want to send messages throughout, that's obviously encouraged. It's the holiday season. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving weekend yesterday. We're here coming at you live with another edition of It's Still Real to Me, reacting to what feels like an all-time monumental moment in the history of WWE last night with Survivor Series War Games. So we're glad you're spending some time with us here at the end of the holiday weekend. You got the NFL, you got NBA, you got NHL, and that, of course, means that Bet Online is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info, up-to-the-minute sports wagering news, odds, trends, predictions. Bet Online is the top spot for everything pro and amateur sports, and not just the big four. Bet Online has info available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time for almost any sport that is played, from MMA to international soccer. That includes pro wrestling as well. Head to Bet Online today. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. So,
Daz, can I just tell you, I apologize to the sponsors, but Victor popped me in the middle of your read because he said this relationship seems like Big Bill and Ricky Starks don't know each other's birthdays.
I do not know.
That is a reference to Ricky Starks not knowing that Big Bill was engaged during a post-fight press conference. So.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes. It's pretty funny.
We encourage you guys to participate. If you want to write comments, messages, we'll get everybody in. It's one of the fun things to be able to do when we're doing live streams of It's Still Real to Me. And who knows, maybe there'll be live streams for Zaslow Show 2.0 in some fashion coming up. But man, this is going to be a great show. I'm really excited to do this today because last night, overall, an incredible night for WWE. I think it was an incredible night if you're a pro wrestling fan. Wrestling is always at its best when it surprises you, which is very hard to do in today's day and age. When it makes you feel emotions, which I think last night did as well. And for me, I love when you can't tell if it's a work or a shoot. And there was a lot that happened last night where you cannot tell if it was a work or a shoot. There is so much to digest from last night. And obviously, we're going to spend most of the show here. CM Punk, Randy Orton, the main event. I mean, was there other stuff that happened in the show? Yeah, it kind of feels like the rest of the show happened, right, Joey? The rest of the show is something that happened. But the thing to talk about is everything that took place in the main event last night. Now, did you go into the show, and we've been talking about this for like a couple months, no part of me thought that CM Punk was going back to WWE. Absolutely none. So I'm watching the show last night, and they're chanting CM Punk a few times during the main event. Didn't matter to me. I thought there was no way that he's ever going back to WWE. No way that WWE's going to take him back. So I got to be the first one to tell you I was dead wrong about that. And as you can imagine, I was stunned and super excited when he showed up last night. What about you?
I was stunned. Like, no question. I was 100% stunned. Like, I was I was with you. There was no part of me that ever thought I would see it again. For many reasons. One, I just don't think I still don't really know where he fits in. I mean, it'll be interesting. After everything he said and everything that went on and everything that happened, it just didn't seem like it was going to happen. And you know, in 2023, you know these things generally, like especially for when it's CM Punk, like we know this is going to happen. So it's funny because in the middle of the men's war games, I was watching with my brother and I said, a lot of people on the internet going to be mad tonight.
Yep.
I was like, a lot of people are going to be mad because there's a lot of people think CM Punk's coming back, and obviously
which would have been
not.
Unfortunate because it was still going to be a really great night with Randy Orton returning, and
Right.
for that show to end, and for people to be angry that CM Punk doesn't show up when, honestly, there was no reason to believe he was going to show up.
Yeah. And what do you think about this? I think this is interesting. Victor said this, and there's some people who feel this way, that he completely overshadowed Randy. That Randy, as long as he was out, Randy almost never wrestling again. We didn't know when he was going to come back. And a lot of people are saying, like, did it have to happen on this night when the big thing should have been Randy coming back?
I do not agree with that at all.
Okay.
I understand that perspective.
Yeah.
But I do not agree with that at all, because here's the bottom line. Putting on a great pro wrestling show is for the fans. It's not for Randy Orton. Randy Orton is paid. It's his job. Randy Orton is paid very handsomely to be a pro wrestler. And it was a really cool moment last night for Randy Orton. And the spots with him in the ring were really damn cool. And Randy Orton said earlier today he plans on wrestling another 10 years. There's going to be a lot more. And why wouldn't he? Because he looks fucking amazing. All right.
He looked like Brock. He's huge.
He looks amazing. So there's still going to be a million more Randy Orton moments. But Triple H, because he's the one in charge, his job is not to acquiesce to Randy Orton. His job is to put on the best possible pro wrestling show every single night for the paying customer. And by CM Punk returning last night, whether or not Randy Orton returned there also puts on, without question, that added to a great night. And if you could do things to add to a great night and make people happy who paid good money to watch the show, you do it. So that's why I don't agree with that take.
Yeah, I don't disagree either. I mean, I think there could have been a way where they overshadowed him, but I don't think it did overshadow him, because I think the way they did it with the false cash in and him breaking up the cash in was good enough. And that was the Randy Orton moment. And then you get, I mean, I don't know where we're going to put it all time, but the RKO off the top of the cage is going to be one of the best RKOs we've ever seen.
It's amazing.
So we got some amazing Randy Orton moments, and also just, man, he looked so happy, right? That was just a cool moment, because you could see in his face walking down to the ring, you could see him in the ring interacting with the other guys.
Did you like the way that they did it? Instead of, he's missing, where's Randy? Seth is yelling at Cody. You said he was going to be here. Cody's like, he's coming. I'm telling you, he's coming. Did you like the way they did it?
I like it. I like the way it ended up with him breaking up the cash in. I didn't mind that. Otherwise, I thought it was unnecessary, because you knew he was going to cut. Like, there was a part of me the whole night where I'm like, why are we doing this story? We know he's showing up. We know he's coming. Yeah, but you knew he's coming. Like, you knew.
Yeah, but the thing is, isn't it better like that, where then he gets into the action right away? Otherwise, he's sitting in a cage for 30 minutes.
Oh, well, yes, I get what you're saying. The story made a lot more sense why they did it, to have him surprise and break up the cash in. Like, would it have been, would that story of him, is he going to show up? Is he not going to show up? Would it have been as impactful without the cash in?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I don't think you needed it to be the cash in. I think it was just about, is he coming? We haven't seen him. No one's actually mentioned his name. Is he coming? Seth and Cody Rhodes already don't get along. And there's so many storylines weaved into this one match, which is why I really think last night's main event was an all-time great moment. There was so much coming out of it. And one of it, being that Cody and Seth, or really Seth doesn't like Cody. Cody can very easily get along with Seth Rollins. Seth is one who doesn't like Cody. And then part of that was, you said he was coming. Where's your guy? I don't think you needed the breaking up the cash in. That was cool. But I don't think you need that. I think him just showing up in the end where it's like, he's here, let's get to work. Like that to me was all you needed. And the breaking up of the cash-in, they had me there for a moment. I haven't thought about the cash-in for a while. And remember when Drew was about to come out, so you knew Drew was going to want to come out of the cage right after Jey Uso did. You knew that. And Damian Priest wouldn't let him. And he said, stick to the plan. Remember the plan. Did you have any idea that the plan was going to be Money in the Bank, that it was going to be a cash-in? Because I had no idea what they were referencing.
No, but they also referenced it earlier in the night. They did like a backstage.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
They did a backstage vignette with, it was everyone other than Drew. It was the 4 guys from Judgment Day. And they were talking about how Randy wasn't going to show up. Okay. And Damian was like, let me go talk to Drew and let me also remind him about the thing.
Okay.
And then that was that. So
I loved it. I was like, holy shit, are they going to cash in right now on Seth Rollins? I fell for it, man. I thought it was going to be a thing.
Yeah. I just don't know when. I don't know when it happens now, because I feel like obviously we're going to talk about it.
Still like 4 or 5 more months.
I know, but it does feel like after last night, it's CM Punk and Rollins, right? I mean, it's got it. That's what it feels
I think
like.
I think the master plan has to be Punk versus Rollins WrestleMania. I think that has to be it.
It feels that way, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, could you have Damian Priest cash in over Punk? That would be crazy. But
so all right. The crowd reaction to, I love little shit like this, all right, where the match ends. And I've been watching long enough to know that, all right, the show's not over until it actually goes off the air. Stay in your seat. And that was especially apparent last night, where I love the little tidbits that begin to come out, where how they kept it under wraps. He wasn't around at all until minutes before it happened, and they ushered him really quick, in plain sight of everybody, but really quick. They ushered him to gorilla position, where Triple H apparently then put on the headsets just a few minutes left in the match, because he was one of very few people who knew about it. And he calls for production to put the copyright logo in the bottom of the screen. Yep. And then calls for the music. Is such a low-key, awesome move for the viewer at home, because you think it's over. And you got the big wide shot too, and Michael Cole's doing the sign-off, and the copyright is up on the screen, and then his music hits. That shit was awesome. And it was such a great pop. And, look, not to compare it to when or I guess we will compare it, but to the debut at AEW, it's weird, man. And it's like when Cody returned to WWE. There is a difference in going to AEW and coming back home. I mean, it really is like you're back with your home team. You're back with the place where everyone originally loved you. Not necessarily in Cody's situation, but you're back with the big time, and you're back with where you really made your mark. And that's how it felt to me last night. Like it felt.
I don't know. I don't know huge. I don't know if I feel. I do agree that it felt huge, but I think it felt huge. Like for me, it was huge in a different way. Like, yes, CM Punk became a massive crossover, known star because of his late run in WWE. But I think of CM Punk because I learned about CM Punk as a WWE guy. But CM Punk is kind of known to the hardcore wrestling fans as the guy who kind of came up. He built Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
He cut the promo when he left Ring of Honor about leaving and going to WWE and all that stuff. And to me, it was huge because of everything that happened when he left and all the subsequent stuff that happened. The homecoming thing is less to me of why, at least for me personally, of why it was such a big deal. It was such a big deal to me because he left WWE. He walked out. He did a podcast where
under
he basically
horrible terms
does this podcast with Colt Cabana where he basically shit on the entire company. He said he was unhealthy. He said it was on all the things that happened.
Made it very personal with Triple H.
With everybody. Then goes on to not only join AEW, but the guy who he did that podcast with, now they broke up. They're best friends for life. Goes out and publicly shames that guy and just destroys Colt Cabana, right? So how much credibility does CM Punk have? Then he joins AEW, and immediately one of his first pay-per-views that he has complains about the whole company, how they're unprofessional, how I'm working with children, then gets fired from that company. It just seemed like after he left AEW, the bridges were burned for everything. Like, I just felt like he was done. There was nothing there. No one wants to work with him. Why would they? He seems like a cancer. So when he showed up, just the fact that he's back in WWE to me was like mind-blowing out under all the circumstances. I was just like, the fact that this guy is that considered by WWE to be that valuable of a commodity that they would take him back.
WWE,
that's what was huge to me.
I think WWE really, I think they're true to their word when they say we're about what's best for business. I think they really do operate like that. Like, Triple H is not going to hold personal, and Triple H's press conference last night was really interesting, talking about, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. He's not the same person he was 10 years ago. If you're the same person you were 10 years ago, you got a lot of problems. I thought that stuff was really interesting, but I really do believe, and Vince has always operated like this too, doesn't allow the personal stuff to get in the way. If it's good for business, they're going to bring you in and they're going to work it out.
Yeah, I guess, but I would say that if Vince was still around, this was not happening. So
I don't know. Well, it was not happening from Punk's side, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, look, Triple H has become a great businessman and a great face for, what he's saying, but like, he's not the same guy he was 10 years ago. And I'm not, the guy just got fired for getting in a fight backstage. He's the same guy. He's like, if anything, he's worse than he was 10 years ago.
Do you think Punk comes off like a phony for going back to WWE?
I think in a lot of people's eyes, yes. I think in a lot of people's eyes, yes, he comes off as a phony. I personally don't care. I think I think one thing I will say about him is he's always seemed to just sort of live the gimmick. Like, he's a pro wrestler, so he blurs the lines of everything.
I love that shit.
Like, to him, I think it's all just business. So no matter what he ever said, I think he looks at it like, you never know. Anything's possible. It's professional wrestling, and that's what I'm here to do. But I do think, yes, I think there's a lot of people, if you look back at the comments that he's made and the interviews that he's done and all the stuff he said, there's a lot of people who think he looks like a phony. Even some of the stuff he said in his promos in AEW, people are just like, yeah, this guy's a phony.
I think he's going to have to reconcile a little bit of that.
This is what I would say. This was what I was saying today. If I was him, tomorrow night, he's supposed to be on Raw.
Anyone going to be watching tomorrow night? So I got to get a number? Big show.
This is it. Look, this is the other
show.
thing. And we can talk about this too. Because remember, when I would still contend, this is my opinion. Everyone don't kill me. I still think the AEW return was bigger and more impactful because we thought he was done forever.
And here's why you're not wrong in saying that, because when he came back in AEW, it felt like we were seeing a ghost.
Right.
And it didn't feel that way last night. I mean, we've been watching this guy for a couple years now, but it felt like we saw a ghost when he got back to AEW.
And now here's what I'll say. That return was the best moment of his run in AEW, and probably the first few weeks after that return. And then it got bad really quick. So last night was amazing, and it's an all-time moment, and it will go down as top. To me, it's not the best return ever in WWE. It's not the best return ever in WWE. I'll still say The Rock returning after 7 years was the best return ever. But it's going to go down as one of the top returns, if not the top return in the history of the company. Now let's see where we go, because it went downhill really quick in AEW. Is that Punk's fault or is that AEW's fault? That remains to be seen. I also said a lot when we talked about him in AEW that a lot of what made Punk great was his proximity to WWE, and that when he became as big as he was the anti-establishment. He was the voice of the voiceless, and he was this sort of rebel, right? And in AEW, he came in as like the good guy. I'm here. I'm a pro. I'm the old school, this and that. And that's not CM Punk. So let's see where he goes from here. I think he comes out tomorrow and he cuts the B-Rabbit end of 8 Mile promo where he just says all the shit. He just comes out and he goes, yeah, you know what? I did walk out on WWE. I did get fired from AEW. I did shit on Triple H. I shit on Vince McMahon. I shit. Yeah. What do you have to say now? I'm here. I'm back. Like, that's what I want.
Are we more interested tomorrow night in what he's going to say about his return to WWE or his exit to AEW? And do we think he'll hit on both?
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think you think he'll address the exit from AEW.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think he will, especially because there was like a legal aspect to the AEW thing, wasn't there? Like,
okay,
I don't know what can be said because there was an actual like altercation. I don't know what's actually allowed to be said there.
All right, so Punk is not the devil. We know that now, right?
Well,
not the devil.
That would be interesting too.
He's not the devil.
I also saw some people saying if Tony Khan wanted to pull off the real badass move, he would release the footage from the fight because there was security footage. I just look. A lot of it's going to depend on like what is he now? He just his run in AEW wasn't great. He hadn't wrestled in 7 years. He never looked. I'll say this: he did look good last night. Like he looked healthy. I don't think he ever looked healthy in AEW. Even when he showed back up, he had the big bags under his eyes. He just didn't. He looked disheveled. He kind of looked like cleaned up last night. He looked like he was in shape. So I don't know that he'll ever be able to go. And look, I don't think he was ever like the greatest technical wrestler ever. Anyways,
he doesn't have to be. It's not WWE style. He doesn't have to be.
It'll be. What's exciting to me is that I have felt for a few weeks now that WWE has a lot of work to do to keep things fresh between now and Rumble and Mania.
Just got fresh as hell, man. Adding Punk and Randy Orton.
Exactly. Like Roman's not around much. Rollins, what's going on with him? Even Gunther, it's like, what do we do with him? How do we get him to Mania? Now you just injected two guys, and in particular Punk, where you could go a million different directions. So that was what was exciting to me. It's like now you got fresh storylines that could take us all the way to Mania.
Can I just tell you, and you know, I shout this any opportunity I can get. How much bigger and better does the show feel when they use the minimalistic stage setup? It has such a big fight feel to it. That's how every show looked when I was growing up, where you're not just using the 2/3 of the arena because you got the massive stage. You're using the entire building because you could sit people behind the entranceway. That was, I don't think it feels as big if he debuts with the huge stage setup, the minimalistic stage.
Well,
it gives it such a massive feel, man.
Is it possible? Now, I know they did it in Puerto Rico, but that was because of the stadium, I think. Is it possible that we're going to get more of that now because they're owned by TKO, who owns UFC? And that's what
I hope so. But I could tell you that the original stage setup on like Ticketmaster when Survivor Series went on sale was not with the minimalistic stage.
Right.
It sold so well that they decided, fuck it, we got to add more tickets. And they sold behind the stage, which good on you, you know, but man, it feels so much bigger when they have that setup. And I really think it came into play last night. Let's get to some of the controversial stuff. All right.
Yep.
So,
by the way, I got to just say, Victor, not happy about CM Punk. He's in the comments, man. He's not happy. Let's see. He can't wrestle like he used to. He isn't the best in the world, not even close. He's got to change or he's going to flop.
Maybe he will.
I can't believe anything that comes out of his mouth after just getting destroyed when he was in MMA. He can't beat anyone's ass. Victor, it's still real to Victor. That's what we know. It's still real to Victor.
So all the talk now today, and this is again where is it a work? Is it a shoot? I love it. I love that this part of pro wrestling is so alive right now with what took place with CM Punk last night. And it's, of course, Seth Rollins' reaction to Punk's return. So we find out toward the end of Punk standing out there that on the other side of the cameras was just an irate Seth Rollins. First in the ring when Punk's music hit, Rollins is yelling and he's kicking the ropes and he's stomping around. And then when he finally made his way to the outside, he's being held back by Corey Graves and Michael Cole and Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, while Rhea Ripley is sitting off to the side laughing, just staring and laughing at the whole.
Well, she flicked him off. She
did?
Rhea Ripley flicked him off and then did like she pointed at the clock, like the watch, and just went like made a face like this. Like I think she looked more like, can I just go home type than mad, but she did make some faces like, what the hell is going on here?
So do you believe that literally the guys in the ring had no idea? Did they keep it that close to the vest?
No, well, I mean, at first when the video started to come out, but obviously the internet won't let that happen for too long. Now I'm under the,
you think the guys in the ring knew what was happening?
The reports that have come out have said that the people in the ring knew found out right before.
Like right before the match or right before it came out?
Before the match. Right before the match.
Big difference. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And here's the thing. The Seth Rollins stuff.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. And the reports
I love it. Go ahead.
Here's the reports are what they are. I think they knew. I do think they knew. But based on the way it seems like what we've seen of Triple H's style of booking and the way he does things, I feel like he probably went to them and said, hey, after the match, CM Punk's coming back. Do whatever you want. And that was it. And that was, look, Seth Rollins is a good actor and he's a good performer. That was real. There was real stuff there. There was some real stuff. I know it's a work. I know it's leading to a big feud. Seth Rollins, real life, does not like CM Punk based on what he said in the past.
Right.
There was some real stuff in his reaction. Like that looked real. He did not look like he was acting. And there's part of me that's like, yeah, he probably knew, but I think there's also part of it where Triple H knows that the best stuff is the real stuff. And it's like, hey, he's coming. I'm just letting you know he's coming. React however you want to react.
Behave accordingly.
Exactly. And everyone else, most of the other guys, the other guys don't hate him. Seth Rollins genuinely hates CM Punk.
Jey Uso and Randy Orton looked enthused that he showed up. They looked like they loved it.
Yeah, they didn't. Randy Orton, you saw when Punk waved, right?
Yeah.
He was waving at Randy Orton.
Yeah.
He did the Randy Orton. He did this thing.
Yeah.
He did this.
I mean, I definitely think that Seth Rollins does not like CM Punk.
Right.
But the idea that wasn't a put on, I 1000% think it's a work. I love it that we don't know for sure. I love that if it is a work, that they're using the real life stuff and they're going to make business out of it and make a lot of money. And that was the part where I think AEW looks bad, that they couldn't find a way to get Kenny Omega and CM Punk in a room together and say, we get it that you guys hate each other. Let's put it on camera and let's have a great match. And in this instance, okay, Seth Rollins, now I don't think CM Punk has any reason to hate Seth Rollins, maybe other than the fact that Seth Rollins has said things about him. But Seth Rollins,
snake and whatever.
Yeah, but Seth Rollins clearly hates CM Punk, and Seth Rollins also knows if I'm going to main event WrestleMania, this is the chance. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. We could hate each other all the way to the bank.
Yeah, it's true, and I think I think Seth and some of these. Seth's a pro. There's another interview that's floating back around now that's resurfacing. I think it was from Helwani's show months ago with Roman Reigns, where Reigns was asked, like, if CM Punk ever came back to WWE. He was like, look,
Roman gets it.
Roman was like, I don't like him. I don't know many people who like him. But if it's going to make money, maybe he might need to get slapped around a little bit.
Yep.
But if it's what's best for business, then come on, let's go. And
I really believe WWE, like, it's their mantra. I really believe that that's how they operate, man.
Listen. We saw at the beginning, we saw Charlotte and Becky Lynch hug each other at the beginning of the night. We saw them hug each other in that match. Like, anything, like, you want to talk about anything can happen, is that they've hated each other for a long time. But that's business, right? And that's WWE, right? So, but again, I do think watching Seth Rollins, I know he's good. I know he's a good performer. And I'm sure he's a decent actor. Some of that was real. Some of that was him just letting it out.
I believe so. And also just the idea that, people like, oh man, this is big trouble. This is not going to end well. You got to remember, Seth Rollins had legit beef with Matt Riddle. Riddle said stuff about Seth Rollins' wife, and Seth Rollins still found a way to work with him. CM Punk hasn't said shit about Seth Rollins. You don't think they're going to find a way to work together and main event WrestleMania? You fucking crazy? I mean, like, it's going to be so great.
That. That's, man.
Riddle said terrible things about Becky Lynch, and they found a way to work a program together, and they brought it on camera, and they made it a thing.
I didn't even think about this when obviously now Punk's it seems like a foregone conclusion. Punk, in some form or fashion, will be one of the main events of WrestleMania, which kind of stinks to me because I was hoping Jimmy and Jay would get one of those spots. Put on
the biggest show, like whatever.
I know, I understand that, but it's just like a 5-year storyline culminating here would be cool. I mean, obviously, I guess you could argue that the CM Punk thing is a decade-long storyline, right? Because he's been gone for 9 years. But yeah, that sucks. But no, I'm totally in agreement. Obviously, I think these guys. There was a report by it's funny because the Shams and Wojs of the the wrestling world.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows who they're talking to and what they actually.
All of them were totally thrown off the scent.
Right.
All of them.
There was a report that came out on Friday that as of Friday, many high up members of the locker room had been asked if CM Punk was coming back.
Yep.
And they all said none of them were told he was coming back. And they were all people that are so high up in the locker room that if they weren't told ahead of time, it would be a problem.
But it's bullshit.
Yep.
It's just so that they could throw everybody on the internet off the scent. It's bullshit. Yep. Right. It's so good. It's so good. It doesn't work as well if we knew. Like it was amazing last night. It's the reaction from Seth Rollins was amazing, and now it's like, all right, do they hate each other, or is it just part of the show? I don't know, but like, I'm gonna let it play out. And like I said, if you need any other reason to understand how this is going to work out, and that Seth Rollins is a professional, he worked with Riddle.
I have no doubt in my mind that Seth Rollins is a professional. We know Seth Rollins is a professional. I don't think the question is if Seth Rollins is going to make it work. The question is, can CM Punk make it work? The question is, how long can he last? Because, like, is he just happy now? Is he just a happy guy? Is he? I
saw Fightful wrote that it's a several-year deal they're expecting. Can that be true?
So is AEW. AEW built a whole show for the guy. I mean, they built an entire Saturday night show for CM Punk.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's a different company and it's a whole different situation. But he hated this company, and yes, Vince is gone, but he hated this company. He went out and he destroyed this company. Publicly, like verbally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to last? What happens? Let's just say in a month, we're in Des Moines, Iowa, and the crowd doesn't like CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
And Triple H is like, you know what? This isn't as hot as we thought it was. Maybe we need to pivot. Maybe it needs to be CM Punk and Shinsuke Nakamura. Is Punk going to be okay with that? Is Punk going to be is he going to do what's best for business because they say that's best for business? Or if Punk's not getting what he wants, like, what if he's not the main event of WrestleMania? Is he going to blow it all up?
Is it possible that he was promised certain things?
Nothing's promised. I don't think anything gets promised. I mean, the only thing we know that's promised right now, to me, 100%, and I'll include Rollins in this, I think the only thing that's 100% is that Roman Reigns is main eventing WrestleMania and that Gunther is defending the Intercontinental title. Everything else is up for grabs, including Cody and Roman. I don't even think that's guaranteed. It seems very likely. It seems like almost, I'd say 99%. I don't think anything's promised. I think anything could happen with CM Punk. Not to mention, he hasn't wrestled full-time regularly in a decade. And when he did, and when he did in AEW, he got a really bad injury. So can he even make it to WrestleMania? This is my whole thing with this. It's exciting because of the possibilities.
Yeah.
But it crashed and burned really quickly in AEW. So it has to go very right for it to work this time. And that's why I think they got to go all in on the Rollins thing because of your point. Rollins is that guy that can make it work because he's
Yep.
so good.
I'll tell you, man, WWE, I mean, they are on fucking fire right now, and heading into they're in it. We're in the biggest time of year for them, and they're on fucking fire, and that crowd was on fire all night last night. And you look at the building, and like I said, even with the minimalistic setup, and they're just, it's packed to the gills, and you look at AEW, and it's like, man, they're getting like 2,000, 2,500 people at shows, you know? The tide has really turned.
And to me, the biggest thing, well, not the biggest thing, CM Punk coming back after a decade is huge. Just coming back to WWE after the way everything went down. But the fact that CM Punk doesn't even come back to professional wrestling if it's not for AEW, and you drop the ball and let him, and it went so bad. It went so bad at AEW that you drove him back to WWE. That you drove, and my guess, and I also don't know this, is that if Cody doesn't leave AEW and go, if you don't mess up Cody's situation and Cody goes back to WWE, then there's probably no Punk going back to WWE either. Because there had to be an example of a guy leaving, a big name leaving AEW and having it better back in WWE. So this is not a good thing for AEW. Like, it felt like there was a moment where all these people were going to start maybe jumping. And a lot of guys have jumped ship to AEW. No one's bigger in AEW than they were in WWE. Cody and Punk, I mean, Cody obviously is 10 times bigger than he was in AEW. And Punk will obviously, I mean, he's going to, if everything goes right, he'll be main eventing WrestleMania. So this is just not a great sign. You know, I didn't even watch Collision yesterday, obviously, or Rampage, or whatever. Did you see Malachi Black?
No.
He came out and he was cutting a promo, and he referred to Claudio as Cesaro and referenced CM Punk on the show.
What's that about?
I don't know, but it's like, you think this guy wants to be back in WWE because they have dropped the ball with him too? Like, these people, I think a lot of these guys are like, they're sort of an inmates running the asylum kind of thing in AEW.
Well, I think that right there is where you're putting your money on Punk working out in WWE, because it's not the inmates running the asylum.
Right. But it's the inmates running the asylum to an extent, because I think it's whoever can become Tony's favorite. Like in AEW, it just seems like he has favorites. I mean, Orange Cassidy's he wrestles on every show. He can have a night off. Mm-hmm. You know, Moxley wrestles and bleeds on every show. There's so many good wrestlers in AEW. They're going to get frustrated after a while, and it's not a good. And you know what? At the end of the day, AEW was never supposed to be a competitor. So they were supposed to be an alternative. That was the thing in the very beginning. When Tony Khan wasn't the face of AEW, when the face of AEW was Kenny and Cody and the Young Bucks and Hangman and Jericho, the company line was, we're an alternative.
Yeah, and a good one.
And it's shifted to, we're going to compete, right? Why wasn't Rampage on Friday? What, because we want to put an extra hour of programming to counter program Survivor Series? Come on.
Yeah, that
Tony
one's
Khan.
supposed to be
what are you doing? That's not what this is supposed to be. You should stay on Friday because you want people to actually watch your show, not to try to counter program WWE. Like, you should stay on Friday because I already don't watch Rampage. I'm definitely not watching Rampage when it's up against Survivor Series. So it's not the Punk thing. That's the biggest thing to me, is he never even comes back to wrestling if it's not for AEW. And they did such a bad job there, or whatever happened. It was handled so poorly that they drove him back to the place that no one ever thought he would ever in a million years go.
Before we continue on here, guys, want to remind you, one of our great sponsors here, huge pro wrestling fan, one of the founders, promoters of BRCW, Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. Of course, I'm talking about your trusted real estate broker, Matthew H. Mashler at Signature Real Estate Finder. If you're looking for your dream home in any part of South Florida, look no further than Matthew H. Mashler, your trusted real estate broker, 561-208-3334, or go to realestatefinder.com. We're talking over a decade of experience. Matthew specializes in luxury homes. He's a certified luxury home marketing specialist. So if you don't know exactly where you want to be, he knows all the areas here in South Florida. He'll help you find your dream home. 561-208-3334, realestatefinder.com, Matthew H. Mashler. And if you're ready to take your real estate career to the next level, you're in the business, hey, you could join the Signature team. The Signature Real Estate Companies are South Florida's industry leaders, ranked #1 in Boca, one of the tops in all of Florida, offices throughout the state, Boca, Delray, Naples, Palm Beach, Orlando. The Signature team is where you want to be. So if you're looking to buy your dream home, Matthew H. Mashler, 561-208-3334. You're looking to sell your current property, Matthew H. Mashler, realestatefinder.com. Or if you're just looking to join the best in the business, Matthew H. Mashler, 561-208-3334, realestatefinder.com. Matthew H. Mashler, your pathway to exceptional real estate experiences. Randy Orton's return, really fucking cool. He looked amazing.
He's so jacked. I mean,
he looks so good, man.
He's
just
huge.
Gets in the ring. You get all the awesome Randy spots, man. You get the power slam, you get the DDTs, you got the RKO on Dom, which, by the way, saving Dom for the end. Such a good move, such good booing, and then everybody gangs up on him. You got the RKO off the top on JD McDonough. Incredible spots. Match was a lot of fun. Obviously, it's all the stories that were weaved in. Like, we got Cody and Seth. What are we going to do there? Seth doesn't like him. And for just one night, they made a point. For one night, we're going to get along. Well, that one night's over. So where do we go between them? Randy teasing the RKO on Jey Uso. Loved it. That's going to need, and pointing at his head, that's going to need to be settled at some point.
But after the show, they were like buddies. So that's not great.
Yeah. But maybe down the road, whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously in the match, Drew, Jey Uso, that has to be the next big program with those two guys. All right. So there was a lot of stuff in the match. And then, of course, we get to the extra footage of Drew McIntyre right before Punk made his debut return. Drew scurries out the ring, holding his head, and goes to the backstage area. And you get all the reports that Drew McIntyre was unhappy. Believe what you're going to believe, because clearly WWE plants stories to the reporters to put out there on social media. And I got to tell you, I don't believe for a second that this is a problem. It's Drew. He's mad at Judgment Day. He only wants to get his hands on Jey Uso. And he's mad that they lost. And he's mad that Damian Priest ate the pin, because clearly they don't like each other. And it's Drew being in character, man.
It's long. We talk. I mean, the internet gets mad all the time about how there's not long-term storytelling.
This is it.
We've been how long since Drew came back? We've been wondering, when's the Scottish psychopath showing up?
It's here.
Coming. It's coming. I mean, it's coming. Like, he took the pin, right? He took the pin. Priest
took the pin. Priest did.
Oh yeah, Priest took the pin. Whatever. He lost. He thought he was going to get something in that match, and
he wasn't able to get any real vengeance on Jey. His team lost, and he wanted to come out the cage at a certain time, and Priest told him wait for the plan. Well, their plan didn't work. All right, so of course Drew's angry.
Right, and he said, "I'm not in Judgment Day. I'm only doing this match because it gets me in a cage with Jey Uso. He didn't get to do what he wants. It just continues him turning back into the Scottish psychopath. It's great. I love these guys. The reports. Oh, he put on a hoodie. He put on a hoodie and he stormed out of the arena.
He slammed his locker.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, good. Yeah. You know what? If all I wanted was to get my hands on Jey Uso and I didn't, I'd probably slam my locker too. I'd be mad if I wanted one thing for all this time and I didn't get it. I'd probably want that too.
But I love that everybody's getting worked up about this stuff. I mean, it's my favorite part of wrestling, when we don't know what's real and we don't know what's not, even though I'm pretty sure I know what's real and I know what's not. But it's out there and we're all talking about it. And it made last night such a monster show.
Yeah. I wish they weren't. I wish we didn't find out that they all knew about Punk. That'd be the only thing that made it better. Like, if we were talking about this today thinking Seth Rollins.
We don't know that. We don't know.
Yeah, but well, I guess that's true. I guess.
I mean, did it come out of Triple H's mouth last night? Because if it didn't come out of his mouth, we don't know.
No. And I thought, do you believe, like he was saying last night, that TKO had no idea about Punk. That like he was
I don't know.
really he said that the way the relationship works is like they're not that hands-on about it and they didn't really know.
Good.
I mean, I hope that's true, but it seems
I think that's along the same lines of like if ESPN hires a controversial figure, does Disney know? No. Like they don't know about all of ESPN's hirings. They're the parent company, but they like it's a separate entity essentially. Like they don't know. So I believe that. I believe that.
That's fair. By the way, you talked about how hot the crowd was.
So hot.
Can I tell you though, the pop of the night, it wasn't CM Punk. It wasn't Randy Orton. It was R-Truth.
Yes. Oh, right. Well, did you hear Triple H post how he opened his press conference? I'm so glad we can all be here one exciting night and for all to be here together and witness the return of R-Truth.
I mean, the pop was huge. I mean, the crowd went crazy and deservedly so because he's the man. I mean, he's one of the best. But they were. I mean, look. Again, if we know anything about Triple H, he listens to the crowd. He goes off of the reaction. Just based off that reaction, let's get this. I mean, get him back on camera as much as possible.
Are we getting Seth Rollins at Raw tomorrow, or are we continuing the storyline where the world champion is so angry about CM Punk he didn't show up to Raw?
Well, they're already promoting that Punk's going to be there. So
and Randy Orton too, I believe.
Yes, and Randy.
I could see Seth Rollins no showing. I could see it.
Yeah. I mean, they don't really need. Well, it's a 3-hour show. Raw's so long. Yeah, I can see him no showing. I could see them giving him a night off and letting the show be revolved around Punk and Orton a little bit. Speaking of the chat was wondering, will Orton get another like a big push here? Like, will he get like a title?
I think he's going to wrestle another 10 years.
Well, that's what he said he wants to do.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be right now. I mean,
but like,
I absolutely think at some point he's going to wrestle for the title. Yeah.
Do you think he could get? Do you think he'll get there? Like Ty, Cena, and Flair.
Is he at 14 or 15? Maybe he's at 15.
I don't know where he's at.
Triple H is 14, so maybe I'm thinking of Triple H. Maybe Orton is 15.
I think Orton is. I think he's 15, but I'm not positive. Do you think? Either way, even if he's at 14, if he's going to wrestle another 10 years.
Yeah. I absolutely think a guy that looks like what he looks like is not going to contend for the world championship. Are you fucking crazy? Yeah. I mean, look what he looks like. That's a world champion.
He did look a little slow, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he had back surgery and he looks like that. Man, he's awesome. I was excited. And by the way, Orton comes back, CM Punk comes back, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that these moments got buried, but like just the fact. Cody Rhodes in War Games.
Yeah.
It
was a lot. Becky and Charlotte. Becky and Charlotte's a big deal, man.
I know. Cody Rhodes in his first War Games. That's a huge moment for the business. Forget about like WWE, just the business, right? Mm-hmm. He obviously did Blood and Guts in AEW. Not the same thing.
But how about Michael Cole referencing that Cody Rhodes started a new show in this building?
Right. How about Michael Cole? How about them talking about Jericho in the Intercontinental title match?
Oh, did they?
Before the match, they said they mentioned how many title reigns Jericho had.
That's cool. Good.
I'm fairly certain they were not allowed to mention Jericho when Vince was in charge.
It's good. Yeah. There was just a lot that came out of last night, man. And if I could just reference real quick too, like Becky and Charlotte hugging was very cool. But I'd like to continue with that story in some fashion. I don't want the tension to go away. Like it was a cool moment last night, but I'd like them.
You know what I think happens? I think, well, the easy storyline would be they go after the tag titles and they don't win them, and then they turn on each other, and that's how we get the match. Like now they're buddies again. They're buddies. They go after the tag titles. Oh, the two best ever, and they can't beat Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, and then they blame it on each other. And it's like, this is why I hated you in the first place. Not bad.
Bailey eating the pin yesterday.
You're right. I mean,
they're very obviously kicking her out.
Listen, I'll give you credit where credit's due. She's gonna be the sympathetic one that gets her ass kicked.
She's gonna be a big baby face, dude.
Yeah.
She's gonna be a big baby face. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, man.
And that's it. That's what's gonna happen.
Rhea,
she did like one of those. she did like one of those digital exclusive interviews backstage.
Oh yeah.
Where she's like, what can I say? What do I have left? She's like, where's my team? I don't even know where my team is. Like, what do I do? I have nothing to say. I don't know what to do.
Rhea is obviously a massive, massive star. It's becoming a thing now where every
a lot of big fans of her outfit last night. A lot of big fans of that.
Well, it's a thing now. Every premium live event, what's her getup going to be and what's her hair and makeup going to look like? It's
cool.
I
think it was more like the shorts that she was wearing. Like I think that's what people.
Yeah, she looks unbelievable, and Santos Escobar is going to be a very big star.
Yeah,
very.
I don't know. I feel like they could have not had that match. Like once Carlito got hurt or whatever happened, they probably didn't need to have that match on a pay-per-view. Like Dragon Lee on a pay-per-view. The pay-per-view was because of the way War Games is, where it takes 30 minutes for the match to even get started. The pay-per-view was already going to be pretty long. With only if they took that match off the card, I would not have been disappointed.
Right. I love though 5 matches, man. NXT Takeover style. 5 matches.
Well,
get in and get
5
out.
matches. I mean, two of them were like an hour long.
I get it, but still, like I don't have to wait forever for the main event. You know, we're done with match number 4. Let's get to it. So
right, yeah. I mean, but yes, he is great. There are reports. The reports are out there. Garza and Carrillo joining the squad. That'd be great. Those guys are great. They're perfect heels to be with him.
Punk opens the show tomorrow night. Or do they keep everybody kind of get the time spent listening, keep everybody tuned in?
No, I think you. Not only does he open it, I think they have probably like they do one of those like at 7:45. Tune in to hear CM Punk off the top of the show.
Yeah, I think he opens it, and you could probably keep everybody tuned in because coming up, Randy
Orton, right?
Yeah. So you got stuff.
By the way, the Gunther Miz, what'd you think?
It's fine. Yeah, like it was just fine. It was good. I mean, Gunther's great, And
I'll tell you, when Miz they got me. When Miz low blowed him, I thought there was a chance.
I was excited in the moment, but I did not think he was getting that pin.
I know, but it was a short match. It was a short match, but that's what makes a great match to me, where all we ever talk about is how Gunther's not losing that title till Mania or till somebody very big. And then in the moment, I'm like, no way, this is not. I was like, no way, this can't happen.
Feel like it was like Gunther's shortest title defense on a premium live event, maybe ever in this run. It was a short match, but it was good. They didn't have me. I wanted Miz to win, but they did not have me. Did not think it was happening.
I felt like it. Yeah.
Anyway, anything that we left out that you want to get to here? I was so excited with that show. It was really fun, man. It's really fun.
I think that that pretty much covers it, man. It was crazy. It's going to be in for the next 20 years. It'll be on all the lists, on all the YouTube clips that they put out of.
Is it the greatest never say never?
Well, yeah, I would think so. Yes. I mean, just because of the circumstances. Yes. Like there's Edge coming back after retiring,
but they love each other.
But he had to retire because his neck was broken. Like those are things where that's like a literal real life never say never.
The other one that the only one that I think compares is Bret Hart.
Yeah, because of the way thing. Yeah,
I mean his brother died and the Montreal Screwjob.
Right.
Yeah. And Punk and Bret are like, they're like one of the same,
Oh yeah, we found that out. Punk and FTR, they love Bret Hart. They love Bret Hart. Yeah. No, this is it. I mean, from a business perspective, I don't think there's ever been anything like this, where a guy so publicly just ran down the company. And I'm pretty sure that by the way, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Amen or whatever, that Punk said like misdiagnosed him and he actually had a staph infection, whatever it was. I think that guy still works for the company.
Wow.
Not as like the main doctor, but in some regard. And again, this was Twitter, so maybe I don't know who it was saying. I think he may actually still work for the company.
I think now though officially, like you really can never say Never. Like, never say never. It's the ultimate phrase in pro wrestling. There's never a situation now where a guy can't go back. It's always possible. It's always possible now.
100%.
Always
I mean,
possible.
that was the one. I don't know that.
That was the one. Yep. It's always possible.
You know what? And before that, Cody was kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest, like, I never thought
he didn't leave with bad blood. I mean, maybe bad blood was made after because of what he did, but it's not like he left the company on bad terms.
He didn't leave the company on bad terms, but I think the way they push, like, I think he left maybe on bad, not like a mutual bad terms. I think he was not happy with WWE.
Yeah. Right, but it wasn't like, man, fuck them. I hate them. I hope they go out of business. It wasn't like that.
No, but everything with Stardust and all that, and then how successful he was, and then he started another company. Yeah. Like when he came back, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
But WWE, man, it's about best for business. That really, with the Miami Heat culture like that, they live that mantra. WWE's mantra, man, like they live that shit. Best for business.
Yep. Now we just got to see how long it lasts. The Punk thing.
Yeah.
The Punk thing. And Joey, I hope he's some level of what I remember, like what everybody remembers. Everyone's so excited for him. And when he was at his best, he was incredible. The stuff he did with Cena, like stuff going against Vince and all that, the pipe bomb, he was incredible. But again, the other thing I'll talk about with Punk, which I talked about a little bit with AEW, but now it even rings even more true in WWE. WWE is also it is a kids show. Like a lot of the
family friendly show.
It's a family show, but like because young kids and teenagers are watching this show, and it's where they generate their money. A lot of those people don't remember CM Punk. It's been a decade since he was there. So
if you're 15 years old watching WWE, but at the same time, you got to remember this Peacock and WWE Network, you can catch up on everything. It's not like it was 15 years ago.
That's fair. Yeah.
You can catch up on, like, my son, my 14-year-old son, he knows everything about CM Punk because, like,
he loves CM Punk?
Because, like, 5 or 6 years ago, he watched all of that era on WWE Network and caught himself up on everything,
Right. But does he like CM Punk? Does he like him?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
It's a huge name.
Yeah, that's true.
And we were really excited with last night. It was so
cool. It was great.
Joey, happy birthday, man. This was fun.
Appreciate it.
I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Raw is going to be really fucking great tomorrow, man. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Appreciate it. Make sure you have your notifications on. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that fun stuff. And of course, if you're listening right now on the podcast, then that's also awesome. If you couldn't catch us doing the live stream, that's okay. I like that you're listening to the podcast right now. Joey, tell all your fans that you'll see them next weekend to not be sad.
Don't be sad. Don't be sad. We're sad.
Well, don't be sad that that you're going away for a few days. That you're not going to talk to them.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to you guys next. We'll figure out a way to talk next week.
Yeah.
And I'll see you guys then. Love you guys, and keep supporting the show. The stream is getting better and better. This is going good. I like it.
Today's show brought to you in part by Bet Online. Thanks again to everybody for hanging out with us. We love pro wrestling. We'll talk to you next week on another edition of It's Still Real to Me. See ya.